What's up, guys? How's everyone doing? Uh, okay, cool. Gary's already here. So we have a special person coming tonight. Scotty B, good to see you, bro. I was just thinking about you. I was actually thinking about uh you and Wayne a little while ago. I hadn't seen you in a little while. I was getting a little concerned, but that's just me being a little worrier. Mid Michigan Bigfoot, good to see you. Stuart, welcome, guys. Happy you're here. Okay, well, with no further ado, old dog, what's up? No further ado, a lot of you guys know him, Gary Hootenholla. He's been around. He's been around, but you know, I'll let him speak his accolades. But he's even been on TV. He's been a few times. What's up, James? He's been on a few times on Bigfoot Odyssey recently, and I know they haven't gotten to the question portion because there's so much for him and Kenny W. Irish to talk about. Crypto punk zoologist, crypto punkologist. I forget how it's said fully, but any whooping or wood knocks? Yeah, past couple of videos there was some stuff going on. Anyway, Mike Flynn, what's up, bro? So without further ado, guys, I'm gonna bring him on, and we'll go from there. Got some stuff to talk about. Wait, I didn't do it right. Oh, there you are. All right, can you hear me? I can't hear you.
There you go. You muted me. We're good.
Oh, all right. Welcome back. Sorry.
Hey, you're fine.
I don't know what I'm doing at all. So.
Dude, it takes time. It took me forever to learn all this stuff.
Yeah. So how's it going? Everything good?
Good day. Done for work for the day, so now I get to hang out with you guys for a little bit and chill and decompress and talk some Bigfoot and some weird stuff. So it's always a bonus. So thank you so much for having me on, my man.
That's a pleasure, bro. I mean, we talk so damn much. What's the difference, you know?
Like I say, we're family. You know what I mean? That's what it's all about. That's the great thing about, what I always say about the Bigfoot community is that, you meet so many people and, good, bad, you get all of them, but you get these core group of people that you would never met. And then you become family, like I say, and like we always tell you, you're part of our extended family. And it's just nice to like have those good bonds. You know what I mean?
So, yeah, for sure. Definitely.
Oh, man.
It's kind of like the military. Like when you get in there, like they're people you might not have ever met. You know what I mean? But like you have something so like deep to bond about, that like it just brings you together in a cool way.
Yeah, it's so cool. So yeah. So I'm stoked. Yeah, I'm super stoked. So what are you up to? Anything?
No, I was with the family all day, all weekend. Really, we had a good weekend. So I was,
good.
Bigfoot downtime. So
that's a good thing. I say this to so many people. Even myself, I'm guilty of it. Is that sometimes you get so wrapped up into this phenomena, and not even just Bigfoot. Also I do paranormal work as well. And but you get so wrapped up into what you're doing that you end up, getting so fixated on it. And a person like me personally, like I have ADHD and those kind of things. So once I'm fixated, and it's like, and then you put all that stuff, the important stuff like family and friends, and you put that aside, and it's not a good thing. So you always need that downtime. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
always need that
sure. Downtime. It's just as important, and then it's just as important as like to have downtime in this stuff as well. I think that it is to put the work in, because you could get really like, I don't want to say obsessive or like, but like, I don't know. For instance, I have an addictive behavior, so like I could just start to like be like, oh, like something went good today, like, and I'm like, oh, like let me just check more, let me just check this, let me just check, and for a while I got that way, and I was like, yo, chill, bro. Like, like you said, I was talking to myself.
Oh
Let
yeah,
me go
dude,
back on this.
I've been there.
Let me go back on this roll call. Shannon, welcome. Rob S, welcome. Scottish Wildman, welcome. Jay McManus. Strangeland, wreaking havoc off World Adam. What's up, guys? Good to see you all. Um, you guys, I mean, I don't think I have to introduce him much, but he's one of my favorites. A brother. He's a brother to me. Oh yeah, Monster. What's up, John? Mike Johnson, welcome. Um, so you're the owner of New York Bigfoot Society, obviously, which is
Yeah.
so for those who don't know, like when I got started, first thing everyone says to me, Long Island, bullshit. Like no way.
Mm-hmm.
I was guilty myself. I said the same thing myself. You know what I mean? And like I'm kind of a loner out here when it comes to this stuff. And I started to get really hesitant about things, like really like talked down in the beginning, like, and I was just getting fed a lot of that like negativity stuff. And I think I reached out to you guys at one point, and like I was just like, I don't know, I just saw the name and I was like, oh cool, like you guys are here too somewhere. And like you guys were just
Yeah.
so welcoming, and like it just like that was just enough for me. Like, and yeah, granted, I had like a relationship with people like from other places, but it just felt good to like have somebody from like the home front kind of. So
Mm-hmm.
even though you guys are way up there, like it just kind of, I don't know, not even kind of, it helped a lot. So for me
Ah,
personally.
that's awesome. And that's what I always say to everybody. Like I've been doing this a really long time. And hello, everybody out there. I wish I could hit the chat. Um, but everybody that's out there, thanks for joining. But yeah, so I mean, I totally agree in the fact of, I've been doing this for so long, and the only way that I got brought into the field was meeting other researchers that I went under and learned from the different. I was very blessed to learn from a researcher that is really big in the Bigfoot field. He has a huge name, and then I kind of worked under him for a while. And then just after so long, I just wanted to do my own thing as I learned, because we had a difference of opinion on some things, how we go about some stuff, and that was it. That's like everything. It's not a bad thing whatsoever. So I just went out and did my own thing, and but I'm blessed that I've met so many awesome people in the field. And from doing TV, I've been on Travel Channel, Discovery Channel. I've done international
Yeah.
TV. I've been on National Geographic. I mean, National Geographic Channel was like the big one for me. And it's like, you kind of you see how it's done behind the scenes. But I was able to meet some awesome people that I would never have met because I traveled,
Mm.
and then I was doing some other pilot shows for other big TV shows. So I was traveling out to Kentucky doing dogman stuff, or really werewolf stuff. But and all these different cryptids, I started to look at getting involved in, and just meeting once again a lot of different people. And it's funny because one of my best buddies is a skeptic, and he's actually he's a big skeptic in the field. And that's what he does, is debunk everything. And I love the guy because his brain is amazing.
Yeah.
But it's funny, like you meet these people that like kind of like come at you and they're like, yeah, you're so full of it, blah blah blah, you don't know what you're talking about, but yet
Yeah.
we're best buddies behind the scene. You know what I mean? Like I love the
Yeah.
dude. So you just come up with these great relationships.
Thanks, Stuart. Yeah, that's Gunner. Yeah, no doubt. It's weird that you said Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a guy, actually, I became really close with him now, but like, he was reaching out to a few places, like, and he had a lot of stuff going on, and we were supposed to tell his story a couple of times, and we haven't had the chance because it's been going on so crazy, crazy, crazy. Like, I've sat up with him nights, like all night, like a lot of times, like because it's just been so chaotic, and it's been going on for like months now. But it's not your average cryptid, like, you know what I mean? And like
Mm-mm.
we we can't put this thing in a box because there's no box for it to go in. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like, and it's just funny that you said like, oh, dogmen and like cryptids, because like that's what we say too. Like, this is where
Yeah.
the oh, it's just cryptids come. To me, like Bigfoot's not a cryptid anymore. You
No.
know what I mean? Like, I don't like when I say Bigfoot, that doesn't go in the cryptid box for me.
No, I
Like,
totally agree with you. And it's funny because when I say dog man now, But let me tell you, back in I think it was like 2012 when I was filming the show, we didn't say dogmen back then. We said werewolf. We said, those type of things. And it's funny, but now when we look at it now and how cryptids have evolved, like, the dog man is now like the big new name thing. I agree with you. Like, I put Bigfoot in its own classification now. Like, it's like you have like ghosts, you have aliens, and you have Bigfoot, and it's like, but I put it not even as a cryptid. I just put it as Bigfoot,
Yeah.
so it's like, it's weird how everything evolves, and that's kind of what I've seen as it evolved. When we were talking about werewolves, we were talking about things like that about 10 years ago. Now we're saying that, oh, we're talking dogmen, which, are very similar. But then people also say dogmen are a type of Bigfoot. So it really depends on, who you're talking to, and, what people agree with, and it's okay. Like, at the end of the day, like my boy Kenny Irish, and he's my co-host and one of my researchers, it's okay to say I don't know. Like, I know that's our classic thing. I don't know, and I'm really cool with saying I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like you get a lot of questions asked, you know what I mean? Like all day, every day. And like, I don't know if it's people worried about losing subs or like what the fear is to say shit. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like,
Exactly.
but you'll hear me all the time, like, fuck, you know what I mean? The other day,
Oh, yeah.
it was like a week ago, like somebody was like, Mike, what's an Indian tree? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I didn't even like Google
Yeah.
it. I was just like, fuck, I
No.
don't know. And I saw you come in and you were like, oh, it's like a tree that grows unnaturally this way and that. And you're
Yeah.
like, I was like, oh, thanks. But like, I didn't even,
Yeah.
I'm like too lazy to even Google it. I'm just like, fuck, I don't
No,
know.
and but you learn, and that's how you learn. You know what I mean? Like, I ask questions too, and I'm okay with saying like I don't know, I don't have an answer. It's cool, you know what I mean? But yeah, but when people come to me and they're like, oh, Gary, this is what it is, and this you think, I'm like, all right, cool. Like, you know what? I'm learning something. And the thing with Native American trees, a lot of people automatically think Bigfoot created it, and it's not always the way. Like, it's not. And unfortunately, I think it's a lot of times we really have to scrutinize what we do. So, and that's, and there's nothing wrong with it. We're all right and we're all wrong. Really, that's
Oh,
what it comes down to. We're all right and all wrong.
I'm here. I'm gonna send Dark Hour a link to come on. Usually comes on and helps me out. Hang on. I don't know how to do it, DHP. Hang on. Oh, here we go. Okay. All right, it's there. If you guys are still with me, I don't know. Okay, sorry guys. You guys still there?
Yep. There you go.
Okay.
Came back.
All right. So let's see. All right, DHP, I sent it to you, bro. So anyway, reason I have you here. We'll wait a minute. We'll get into that in a minute, I guess, when he gets on, so there's no interruption. So, but how's everybody
Whatever.
doing? Yeah, I hope everyone's having it. Well, I'm super excited. So, because like my take on things. Like, I don't know. I've had too much weird shit happen, so like, I don't know. But the way you do we'll get into it. Because the way you go
Nah,
about
dude, I
it.
get it. Yeah, I'm over stoked. Like, I'm super stoked. And let me tell you, as you know me well by now. And
Yeah.
for me to even want to even talk about this subject matter that we're going to talk about tonight, that's big for me. Like, I can tell you, I've been on so many different radio shows, and like from Coast to Coast AM, and these other ones, and I've actually gone around talking about this subject. Because like someone just said in your thing, like, we have to walk on eggshells, and
Yeah.
it sucks that, and I'm a very blunt person, so I'm
Mhm.
very to the point, but also I'm to the point to the fact of certain things I just kind of put into my little, like, I got like my things I'll talk about, and then over here I'm like, well, this is in the, I don't even think I'm gonna even open that yet. I call it Pandora's box. And
Right.
then so for this subject, for me to even talk about this, I'm telling you, it's big. And it's funny because people ask me, they're like, well, you're a paranormal guy, so what are you even talking about? Like, I'm like, dude, you just don't understand. Like you don't get like there. It's
Well, even
mm, I,
you know, even
you know.
Sarah, my wife, like she sees things differently than I do. You know what I mean? Like completely different. Like and not for just an opinionated reason. Like she has a different view. Like she has a different way of seeing than I do. You know what I mean? And like
Mhm.
I wasn't like I don't know if I ever had this like big like third eye or whatever you want to call it, but like as of like a year ago, I learned to tap into. Oh, here he is. Here's DHP. So now I'm gonna bring him on, then we can get going on. Okay.
Well,
All
hello,
right. What's up,
boys. How
bro?
are we doing tonight?
What's up, bro?
Doing all right. Doing all right. Glad to be
Dark
here.
out. Dark out paranormal. This is Gary Hootenholla.
Gary, nice to meet you, mate.
Gotcha.
Guys,
Can you hear us?
can you hear us all right, guys?
Hey, what's going on, man?
Oh, there we go. What's going on, mate?
All right. So DHP's been helping me out lately. All right. So what I have you here, what I have you here for is well, not just that. It don't matter. We talk all the time, but you want to get into like I guess like your beliefs on things, and then like you could just kind of get it started, bro. I guess like just tell us what's coming next for you.
Beliefs or what's
Yeah, I
coming
mean,
next? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, mate.
I'm losing you here. No, go. No, you go right ahead. Go right ahead.
No, there's definitely a little lag here. So as we're moving forward, just be cognizant, everybody, that's what it is. Give a moment there, and everything will come out clear and perfect. I didn't really have much. I was wondering what you were going to say. Sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine. So yeah, so for everybody out there, like I say, my name is Gary Hootenholler. I'm also known as Gary Robusto, my real name. And so I'm the founder of the NYBS, New York Bigfoot Society. Been a Bigfoot researcher for about 12 years now. Been a paranormal guy, a paranormal researcher for 26. So I've been doing this for a very long time. Like I said earlier, I've been on National Geographic Channel, Travel Channel, History Channel, Discovery, all those channels, doing Bigfoot research primarily. So it's funny because the reason, I started talking to Mike a little bit, we just like, he's like, oh, you're a New York guy, I'm from Long Island, and, no one believes Bigfoot in Long Island. Nobody, basically. And I could tell you, I mean, now the funny thing is, it's like when you go through the sighting reports, there's sighting reports from Long Island stemming all the way back to the 1800s. So when people come to me and people will talk to me about it, and they have in the past, being like, Bigfoot in New York City, like you're crazy, like it's down, and it's like it's not so far fetched. It is possible. Now, for everybody out there, I'm a flesh and blood guy. Right. So I stay on the flesh and blood side of Bigfoot. Now, this is why it's interesting that I would, even come on a show with Mike to talk about the other side of Bigfoot, because I have a project that I'm now starting. As a field researcher, I think it's very important that we still look at all sides of the mystery. All right. Just because I have one side that I believe in that seems to work for me and my team. And I've seen a Bigfoot. So I've actually had an encounter. So I've known what I see as far as seeing is believing. And to me, it looked flesh and blood creature. I mean, it looked just like one of us, like it's a living, breathing thing. And the way it moved after, like we had a stare off. A little bit. My encounter story is this. We just got done filming for History Channel. I went back to the area, I think a day or two after, just to go once again, look around. And I kind of just wanted to get into the woods. Long story short, I had an IR monocular and going down one of the trails that, we've had sightings and things like that. And next, I saw one standing behind this big tree. Now, at first, though, I thought it was a raccoon, a possum. I wasn't going to Bigfoot whatsoever. I always try to debunk Bigfoot first. I try to debunk everything. So I'm like, oh, there's a raccoon climbing up a tree, which I still thought was really cool. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. No, I'm an animal guy, things like that. And I'm like, this is really cool. But then all of a sudden, as I was like just staring, watching, trying to figure out really what it was, I saw its eye and it blinked at me. And now we're talking a big, large eye. Now we're about 7.5 feet off the ground, which would actually put it about 8 feet because I was up on elevated soil. So we're just kind of staring at each other, and I'm like, "Oh shit!" Like, pardon my language. I'm like, "This is the real deal." And I was like so stunned mentally. And then it slowly turned, to the left and walked off to the left. And you could hear it bipedal, one by one, to slowly walk through the woods. Like I was nothing to it. So all of a sudden I'm just like, all right. But when staring at it, when it started walking away, once again, it looked like flesh and blood creature. There was nothing paranormal to it as far as how it looked to me. And then also the other stories that I get too from all the witnesses that come and talk to me about it. It looks like a type of person. You wouldn't shoot it in the woods because when you look at it, you think you're going to murder somebody pretty much, and things like that. So I've always been on that flesh and blood side. But here's the kicker. 2020 has been a crazy year as far as like the pandemic and all that crap that's going on right now. And this year I've been going out into the woods a little bit more because there's less to do. Like I can't really go anywhere. And so we hit up our research areas, that. And this year has been the weirdest year ever for strange encounters in the woods. It's fun. They're not, and how you want, it's something that I wouldn't even think of, pretty much things I wouldn't even think of that happen. So that's kind of the tip of the iceberg. So,
well, for you being a flesh and blood guy, let me ask you the $1 million question that's been floating around. If it's not dimensional travel or portals that these beings are coming out of, okay, I'm just going to play the devil's advocate in some respects here.
Yeah.
If it's not those elements, why would people be connecting, big cryptids like Bigfoot to the paranormal and paranormal phenomena? What do you think?
It goes a lot of different ways. One thing I think for some researchers or some people, I think that when people go searching for something and they can't seem to find it and they run out of theories and ideas of what they're doing to try to find, say, a Bigfoot or like a dog man or like the Jersey Devil. I'm a big Jersey Devil person. I love the Jersey Devil. But if you can't find it after a while, then you start thinking, well, maybe it's paranormal because everything I'm doing, it's not working. And because it's not working, then we're like, well, there must be something else here. There must be, this thing can now vanish in thin air in front of me. It can hear things, but I can't see things. And so I can understand that side of it because now it's twisted. You kind of twist it in your mind to make yourself feel better, really, because you're spending all this time in the field trying to find something and you're just not seeing it. Understanding animal behavior, like a lot of my degrees in animal science. So I understand wildlife science, animal science, things like that, and animal behavior. And animals in the woods, there's plenty of time. I mean, for the first time ever 2 years ago, I saw my first porcupine in the woods. Now, I'm a mountaineer. I'm a bushcrafter. I do a lot of bushcrafting. I've never seen a porcupine in the woods. I see them dead on the road. But I came across my first porcupine. I'm like, oh my God, this is so cool. Like I finally saw a porcupine. So cool. It's like, but that's the way, like, once again, I perceive it. The other part of the paranormal I perceive is this. And this is what we're going to talk about today. And I see people already like, no. So, but, and I get it. Trust me, I totally understand everybody. I do. And it's like, is when you're in a Bigfoot area, weird stuff happens. And this is what I'm here to talk about tonight, because there's things that happen in the areas that we research, and I've been researching for a very long time, that I cannot explain. And being a paranormal guy now, once again, I run a paranormal business, a paranormal team. I've been doing that for 26 years. That I can see it from that side because I have that knowledge base of what this phenomena would be in the paranormal world. As far as being in a house, being in maybe a cemetery, being in a insane asylum, and seeing these same type of things happen, but now into the woods, in a Bigfoot research area. So when you put the two together, I can see why people be like, well, listen, I'm seeing these type of things happen while I'm Bigfooting. So they may be connected. And once again, I'm not even going to say that they're not, because they could be connected. We don't have the answers for that. You know what I mean? So I'm very open-minded. So just because, and that's the thing with Mike, I always tell Mike, just because I'm a flesh and blood guy doesn't mean I don't look at all the aspects. I mean, I got one of the TV shows I did, they put the alien theory in it. Okay. At the end of the show. And then next thing you know, I got blasted. They're like, Gary, you think that Bigfoot's an alien? And I'm like, no, I don't know what to tell you. I didn't create the footage, you know what I mean?
Yeah, all
So
kinds of things happening in
you're
edit.
always
Yeah.
into it. Yeah, you know how it is. And it's like, so that's kind of where it's at. But that's my long answer, I guess.
That was really well said too, and quite comprehensive. I appreciate that answer. So for a lack of better physical evidence, maybe people will sort of deter themselves towards the paranormal or the unexplained, and I understand that too. But the fact is this: that when you're talking about this, you personally, you do have an open mind about it. You're not saying it is or it isn't, but based on what your evidence has gathered, this is what you're feeling. But you're leaving the door open to possibility in this field or any of the fields under the umbrella of what we do. I think that's one of the most important mentalities to have, because science, and I've said this before, ideas are always changing. There are theories on the table that one day look very implausible, and the next somebody says, hey, something's shown up and it's now proven. This is a fact of reality.
Yep.
We might be one day away from finding out that Bigfoot as we know it is a flesh and blood creature, and that's here to stay. I mean, it just might be that easy to eventually get to that point, but time will tell, and it's a really interesting journey all the while. So
I feel
exactly.
like
And that's a whole
sorry, there's a lag. No, I feel like there's a certain like point to like oh yeah, I'm not gonna. As far as location goes, I don't give away location for now. There's too many people around to like pinpoint where I'm going, so it would be kind of reckless of me. So I apologize. No, I haven't watched that yet, Scottish Wild Man. I do have the link from you though. Thank you. I feel like that like we all carry a certain message. Almost like we're given like certain things, because like there's no possible way that we could all carry all of this stuff like that they have to teach us. Almost like I want to say like certain aspects are like, what's the word, esoteric or whatever, like there's like certain things for certain small groups of people, if you will, and like we're all given like a little like something to take to the table, and like we're just not all connecting the pieces the right way. We're just all running around like, well, I know this and I know that, but if you just take it and you put it over here and you say, wow, okay, yeah, that's pretty freaking interesting, and that ties into this a little bit, and here's what I got. But like everyone was like, not everyone, I don't want to say everyone, but like some people grip onto what they have and they don't want to share because it's a little weird. Or like some people grip onto things and they want to hold it and they don't want to dole it out because it's too good. Or like, like they don't want to share it. Or some people want to make it a pay to play, and then like, you know what I mean? So like not everyone's getting it because everyone doesn't want to pay to play. So like it falls into different different categories in that way too, you know what I mean? Which is, it's one reason that like, I've I don't know, like I don't see myself ever going to like another place. Like I love Facebook and all, but like I feel like I wanted to go to Facebook, but I feel like a lot of you guys stay here too. And I always said if one or two of you wouldn't go, I wouldn't leave. And I literally that day, like two of you that have been here since day one, but like, no, we hate Facebook. So here we stand still. So, that was like 12, 11 months ago. So we're 10 months ago. So we're still here. But anyway, so so you're a flesh and blood guy. You don't, necessarily believe in portals and cloaking and all the extra stuff. So that's what you basically do mostly. You also have a paranormal investigating. So you own New York Bigfoot Society, but you also own a paranormal society. I
paranormal
don't want to say
society. Yeah.
business, because it's not a business, society. And so you do investigate both aspects of things, but you keep them separate. So what's next? Tell us what's next, because I'm like ramping for it. You know what I mean?
So I'm gonna try to answer some of the questions in your. It's nice because I can answer some of these questions now instead of like when I do my show, I cannot answer anything. And I can't pronounce his name, but his last name's Salisbury. I mean, he kind of said what kind of I do go by. And it's like, a really good woodsman could disappear in the mountains. and not be seen again forever, and until he wanted to be seen. And that's something that is true. I mean, if Bigfoot, and I saying if, so just because I'm a flesh and blood guy doesn't mean, once again, that's what I'm saying it 100% is. But if Bigfoot is a flesh and blood being, then of course it would be a environment and not be seen when it wanted to be seen, because they're masters of their environment. All right, we're not masters of the environment in the woods anymore. All right, you can take people, put them out into the woods, and they can't even survive a night. I mean, that's the way it is. Like I go to school and classes for this stuff and for wilderness survival. And even me going into the bush and hanging out and bushcrafting and doing all this weird stuff that people would think we're crazy. If push came to shove, if I had to live in the woods for a very long period of time, I'm not going to adapt to the same way a Bigfoot creature would, a fox would, a raccoon would. We're creatures of our habitat, our house. We go to work every day. We go to the bank. We go to the grocery store. That's our area. All right. So a Bigfoot could just disappear and you won't see it. But you got to remember, they are being seen, though. And that's the thing. They are being seen. So they do make mistakes here and there. They do put themselves out there to be seen, crossing roads. You hear that all the time and things like that. So I agree with the one guy in the chat.
Could you imagine a group of guys just like us, some 150 years ago, talking about a platypus in the same kind of round table format? It could very well be something that simple.
They're not. Their building structure and everything, like just as far as that shit goes, they're not far off from a beaver. You know what I mean? Like a bat too. If you didn't know a bat existed, you'd be like, oh yeah, something flying around sonar and this and that. You'd be like, get the fuck out of here. But it's not, but that's okay. Those are okay. You know what I mean? But
well, these are things we now know. You know what I mean? And our worst mistake is that we think we know enough, and that we have all the parameters that we should have and be able to identify anything in our paradigm. It's just not the case. I mean, you have to keep that open mind. You have to entertain new approaches of, data, perhaps even information coming in, experiences with the right and the left brain interpretation of, this subject. So, I mean, there's a balance to be found here.
Yeah, no doubt.
Well, everything's balanced.
I don't want to ignore Irby. She has a question for DHP real quick. And it's Subscriber Sunday.
Thank you,
because
Irby.
This is for you guys, so I'm not going to ignore the subscribers. So go right ahead.
So Irby says, so I agree. My question is for Mr. Dark Hour. I want to hear your opinion about the portal dimension travel and your insight. And always thanks for everything you do. Portal dimension travel. I'm not sure where you'd like me to start there. If you want to clarify if this is in relation to the cryptids that we're talking about or just in general, let me know and I will answer that.
Okay, so back to Gary while we wait. So coming up is Project X. Did you get into that yet? Did you?
Not yet. We're slowly. We're just talking. You know what I mean? We're shooting the stuff and having good combo.
Yeah, no doubt. But all right, that's where we're going with this guy. So as we were saying, Gary is a flesh and blood guy, but he's going to start.
You say it so like, oh, he's a flesh and blood guy. He's one of those.
I put a little.
I love it. I love it.
No, that's funny. But, that's funny.
I'm so excited for it. I'm so excited for it because, like, no matter how it turns out, I love that you're giving this a hard drive. You know what I mean? I love it. Like, it makes me really happy because, like, I don't. Are they flesh and blood? Sure as shit. Sure as shit at times. But I don't know. I've seen.
Sneaks that in there at the end at times. So anyway. Sorry.
If I sound like a douche, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to be.
Funny.
No, that's all right. You're fine.
No, for those, I know you guys know me well, but for those who don't talk to me regularly, but so.
I love it.
Yeah. Oh, we listen, Vince. This is Vince, and he's been the person that I've been sharing you guys with on the channel, New Zealand Pick of the Day, and we've just been warming up some of the stuff, and I don't know what I can share and what I can't, because some of this shit is like, you know, he's amazing for the fact that he just says, here, put it up there. It doesn't want the credit. I was telling Sarah today, you know, George Steinbrenner, you know, not a weird person to quote, but he said, if you do somebody a favor and 3 people know about it, you did it for the wrong reasons. You know what I mean? So he don't want no credit. He just wants to say, here, everyone have this. But I tell you, some of the stuff is like, I don't want to put it out there because I don't want to get asked the questions about it. You know what I mean? Because it's just amazing, but I wasn't there for it, you know? So anyway.
So just to answer, actually, World New Zealand, he asked, "What's a flesh and blood guy?" A flesh, it's simple. It's simple. It's just like us. So I you know, the way I perceive Bigfoot at this time. Now, keyword, remember what I said, at this time, is that it's just like us. It breathes. It lives. It has skin. You know, it can bleed. It can bleed like us. So that's the way I look at it.
All right. Cashew, Strangeland, Peanut, Rican, welcome, guys. If I didn't mention anybody, sorry. Not ignoring you. Oh, cool. All right, yeah. Anything I send you, share. Well, I know there's one that we're keeping on lock. I know that much. You know, that one's got me itching every time I look at it. But anyway, so Project X.
Let me ask you guys a question. Because I love this. This is great. So, for the people that you know think that Bigfoot's an interdimensional being, or an alien, or things like that, how do we get these awesome hair samples, and how do we get these great big footprints that have dermal ridges in them? Like, once again, we know that the people and, you know, the apes and the chimps and all those fun animals have dermal ridges. So if it's an interdimensional paranormal being, now me coming from a paranormal background, we used to use baby powder and put it all over the floor, which was always great to pick up, never, because we try to get the footsteps. You know, that's what we try to get. Okay, we're going to get those cool ghost footsteps. It's going to be great. A shadow person's going to come through, and we're going to prove that's an interdimensional being because it can manifest right there. And this is great. And then you clean it up, and it's crap. But once again, how are you perceiving when the footprints with the dermal ridges and the hair samples that people got? Now, whenever I hear hair samples, I'm always kind of like, there's a lot of animals in the woods, and a lot of people out there don't know what they look like and even what they're looking for. Even myself, I go out there, even though I have an animal background, doesn't mean I'm going to not make a mistake. So what's your take on that as a interdimensional type guy?
I think, well, go ahead, Mike. Go ahead. You take that.
Yeah, both of you. No, both of you. It's great. I want to hear it.
Yeah, as far as hair goes, like I was talking to Jeremiah. You just had him on, Jeremiah Found. I was talking to him yesterday. And somebody like was openly like, blah, 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 like I got all this, and like send them pictures of like hair and stuff. And like the way I say it in public all the time is, if I had some hair, just say I did, hypothetically, I would not do anything with it at all. I'd have it hidden somewhere else because, first of all, it's been done. Like, so, you know, like, and they do nothing with it. Like, you know what I mean? There's a million ways to discredit this. Like, you know, like, for instance, like, you know, it's like the people that get it, like, you know, disown it like so fast. You know what I mean? It's almost like a large, like, troll platform, if you will. Like the scientists that get this stuff, you know what I mean? Like, they get to like smash it real quick and good and easy. Like, we're an easy target. It's not even like, you know, like something that's like so easily proven, and like, you know what I mean? It's like, it's always an uphill battle. So but as far as that goes, even footprints, I think, are more based on like a gift, if you will. Like, they're like given to you because they almost want you to see it. Like, they can cover their tracks so easily, they don't have to walk on that ground, even if we're talking flesh and blood. You know what I mean? Like, the way that their structures are connected on the ground, they can, you know what I mean? Like, I've tried it, and like, it takes me a minute to get around, but I've tried to, like, in theory, I said, maybe they walk on all the logs. That's why they're all connected this way. And I tried it. It took, I'm not very, limber these days, but, I tried it, and like, you can make it work sometimes. But I also have a firm believing in the underground as well, like underground tunnels, underground movement, a lot of that stuff. So, as far as them like leaving tracks or leaving hair, I almost think like they want that individual to have them.
So there's definitely a physical aspect to this creature. We're seeing, indications that it has protection in its environment, thus, the hairiness, in terms of, finding tracks with dermal ridges. I think that there's something there. We could go back and really get into the woo and say that, extraterrestrials at one point created us and several other races on their way to making us. And who knows, maybe we share some DNA because a lot of it was pulled from different creatures of the earth of the time. And, the idea that the soil was taking up in certain elements used to create the physical body that they literally molded and manipulated to create who we are today. Maybe we do share some of these similarities, and perhaps Bigfoot is one of those offshoots, or something along those lines. When it comes to the interdimensional aspect, we've spoken about at length in some regards why they could be interdimensional based on our observations. And like you said, Gary, there's a lot to be discovered in the way of physical evidence before we start really kind of delving and saying, well, if it's not all this, then it just has to be this. You know what I mean? A lot of people are more convicted that there's something else about Bigfoot that, we can't really put our finger on and say yes or no either way, whether this is completely etheric or biological. But to kind of expound upon that a little bit too, how do I want to say this? So, all right, the connection between extraterrestrials and cryptids, it's sort of a new one for me. I think I've thought about this, off the cuff, maybe once or twice throughout my years of study, and, think maybe it's a connection. But now I'm being able to see it more clearly, that there's evidence that this might be the possibility. For example, Mike has a photo of two beings. It appears to be two beings standing in the woods. One looks like a tall, hairy humanoid figure looking down on what appears to be some sort of gray alien, kind of looking up as if they're having some sort of interaction. Now, again, that's sort of new for me too. But here we have, what appears to be some sort of photographic evidence. And though we can't tell exactly what it is in the photograph, we do see that there are two subjects. So again, it's possible that they evolved to a certain point where, Bigfoot, if it's been around for that long, okay, and they've survived in one way or another, just like we're honing our own physical capabilities of survival, we're also honing those more, I hate to use the word psychic, but, extrasensory perceptions that we have naturally. And, we can see many examples of that in our social circles even. So why is it hard to say that it's possible that that particular animal, the Sasquatch, had already or began to develop, the extrasensory perception stuff, which was, again, natural in their makeup, to where that they've reached a point where they're sort of walking between the two worlds, the physical and interdimensional. And it might not be like they're going into another dimension entirely. The entire world around them changes in terms of physics and dynamics. It could be that they're just somehow understanding their electromagnetic field and perhaps the sacred geometry that's existed in all forms of life. They know how to manipulate that on some sort of level and just kind of, again, raise the vibration and essentially cloak themselves out of existence for a moment, but they're still there. There have been reports of people thinking that they see an outline in the way of heat or like that running through the woods, hearing it, but they're not seeing what they think they should be. It's sort of incongruous.
Yep.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it. I mean, that's a great way to put it. I'm good. I'm good with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Somebody said,
like
Bob Grace, are Bigfoots associated with UFOs? So now, I don't know, to be honest with you. I mean, I have them in pictures together, like they're in the same area, but I have them, Dogman and Bigfoot, in the same area. And I don't necessarily think that they, some people tell me they do, but I don't really think they mess around. But like Gary, like if they don't have to, but Gary mentioned the supermarket before, like, I think like it's the same concept. Like, you don't like live with your neighborhood folk, but like you bump into them like around the supermarket. Like there's like watering holes in common areas and shit. You know what I mean? It's only so many places to go. Are Bigfoots and ETs and UFOs all put together in a box? I don't know. I think we're just really ignorant to a lot. You know what I mean? I think we're just missing a whole lot about a whole lot of things. There's Big Dogman got popular lately, like Gary always says. Like now all of a sudden it's so popular, like people are talking about it. I think it's just one of those things, like when your neighbor mows his lawn, like you're like, ah, shit, I gotta mow it now too. Like I think it's just like makes something click, like, oh yeah, like, or like it's okay to talk about it now, or like it motivates you to talk about it or do it now. So like I think it just kind of caught fire, you know what I mean? But in theory, who knows? But
let me ask you this, guys, both of you, actually. Why do you think that out of all the cryptids that are out there, it seems to be that Bigfoot is in every single region that you can put your finger on in a map? They all seem to be acclimated to their environment just slightly differently. Why such a proliferation of this type of entity? Yet, the Loch Ness Monster exists in Loch Ness. Champ is in Lake Champlain. And you can name scores of other cryptids that are really just tied to the geography that they live in. So why so many sightings of Bigfoot?
Go ahead, Mike. Answer that one first.
Well, for me, I think that they're the ones that care about us most. I think that a lot of these other cryptids could give a shit less. I think that a lot of these things don't really. I think they're guardians of all things. Like a lot of people say they kill deer and they eat deer and they're savage and they attack this and they came after me and they tried to kill me with a rock and they chased me out of the woods. My spin is, they threw a rock at me. Probably wasn't supposed to be there. Yeah, they chased me out, kind of. They herded me out with tree knocks and, pushed closer and closer and closer until I got the hell out of there. Night was falling. Maybe they knew something I didn't. Like it depends how you put a spin on things. I can get a rock thrown at me and put a clickbait title that said, "Try to take my head off with a rock," but it didn't, because it would have. It's just that simple. It would have. So I've never. My story, my encounters, my interpretation is that they're friendly and they're more of a gentle giant than anything, and they have more of a tolerance. And people say they're so elusive and they hate people and hide and seek champion and they tried to eat me. I find it the total opposite. I just find it the total opposite. I think that they're the ones that are the least inept to do so, but I can only tell from my side of things. So, I mean,
Go ahead.
No, that's it for me, really. But go ahead, Gary.
I just wanted to point out, before you go on, Gary, I just want to point out how cool the setup is right now. I have the right brain interpretation and I have the left brain interpretation. I'm sitting right in the middle. Gary, back to you.
Oh, I like it. That's awesome. I love it. No, I love it. And cool. This is what I love about. No, it's awesome. It's awesome. I enjoy this, and it's really cool. Is like, with Mike, like I don't disagree in the fact of, I agree in the fact, even though we see things a little bit differently, they throw rocks. I've got rocks thrown at me. I've gotten all sorts of things thrown at me in the woods. And I agree. You're just not supposed to be there, or they just want to see how you're going to react. By them throwing a rock at you, they're going to be sit back, and we're their entertainment in a lot of ways. They come in. That's why when I get campers coming to me saying, "Oh, by the way, we went to bed and now Bigfoots or possible Bigfoots are coming in and throwing rocks at us and stuff," they kind of want to see what the reaction is going to cause. Like when I had my encounter, like I was staring at one. If it really wanted to take me out, it would have took me out in 1 second. There's nothing I could do about it. Nothing. So, it's funny because, like, I love this too. It's the right and the left, and the fact of, Mike's talking about all the bad things that he hears about Bigfoot, and it's really funny because on my page, I'm a big hiker safety person. I'm all about hiker safety. That's the main thing. And I always hear about good things about Bigfoot, like, oh, they would never hurt you. They would never do anything bad to you. No, they're gentle beings. They're very gentle. And I'm just like, once again, I'm like, okay, so I've come across many black bears in the woods. They weigh a couple 100 pounds. And yes, I've never had a bad run-in with a black bear that's kind of like wanted to eat me in the middle of the woods. But there's just like people, you can still always come across that one at that point in time that's like, yo, guess what? I'm gonna mess you up right now, and you're done.
Yeah.
So I always err on the side.
My big thing is like, first of all, I don't bring any kind of guns, like any weapons, anything. You know, I only carry a deer antler, which was a gift to me. Like that's another thing. It like manifested, boom, like right there, and there was nothing there with me. You know what I mean? Like I had my back turned from it, turned back, and it, you know, he messed with my Red Bull and my cigarette and like, you know, whatever, and put the antler there. It was hot to the touch. You know, whether it was charged with energy or it was under his big hairy armpit, I don't know, but you know, it was there, you know, in a half a second. So, where's I going with this?
It's okay. I forgot what I was going to ask too. Don't feel bad, Mike.
That's all right. I didn't even answer the real question yet.
Go for it, because I totally lost track of myself.
I don't know where we were. What were we talking about?
So they're asking, so why are Bigfoots all around the globe?
Okay. Yeah, okay. Go ahead.
And once again, the theory that I kind of go with that is why is there deer populations all over the world? Why is there different cats all over the world? I mean, once again, as we know, if we put Bigfoot as like almost like a prehistoric type creature, okay, you know, one theory is that, you know, they crossed the land bridge from Asia. They migrated across into America. I actually have been doing an actual study on that exact thing, and I've been getting results with what I've been doing in the woods using Chinese alphabets. And
nice.
it blew me away, because when someone was talking to me about this, I kind of sat there and was like, "Are we fucking kidding me right now? Here we go." But I'm like, you know what, and I'm just being honest, you know, because I'm like, all right, maybe why Chinese? I wasn't really thinking about it, and once again, I was being ignorant. I was being totally ignorant about it, and then I'm like, wait a minute, you know what? I'm gonna try this. You know, I mean, there's no reason not to. I'm a wacko in the woods doing weird shit anyway, so might as well try.
Might as well.
You know, and sure enough, when I started doing it, I couldn't believe that what was happening. So the story goes is that in one of my research areas, I put up the symbol for man. All right. So I baited the area with apples and other things. Now, I don't do that to bring Bigfoots in. I do use trail cameras. And once again, why do I use them? Not to catch Bigfoots. I have to watch the animals in the environment. The animals will always give you the answer. Okay. For 3 weeks in this area, I know I have deer, I have bucks, I have foxes, I have raccoons. I'm in the middle of the Adirondack State Park. So the Adirondack is like one of the biggest state parks in the whole country. And so for 3 weeks now, like 2 to 3 weeks, nothing touched anything. Nothing. Okay, so that first off gives me information. That gives me information that at this point in time, no animals are coming through here. And once again, was capturing no animals. But what happened, and this is here we go. Here's the weird stuff, Mike. This is for you. Are you ready? That all of a sudden, when I came back a week later, there was a cross across my symbol. Okay, so my symbol was like this, like a teepee, with a line across the middle of it, and something stuck a stick there. Well, once I was looking at it, I'm like, all right, that's cool. That wasn't there before. Someone, you know, no one knows I'm down here. I'm in the middle of back of the woods. Anyway, come to find out, that meant big man.
Wow.
So the minute you put that cross, that changes it to big man. So, and in my area, now a little bit about this area, this year alone, I found 3 13-inch tracks in this area, right smack in the middle of my bush camp. Okay, and we have those put up, which I believe is a juvenile male. The area that I've been researching for the past 10 years, I personally believe is a nursery type area. And the reason I say nursery type area is that I have very small baby tracks also that I have, once again, only 4 to 5 inches long. Also, we have female type behaviors there, but we also get the juvenile type behaviors that are crazy. They do the crazy stuff, throwing rocks, screaming at the top of their lungs, shaking trees, doing stuff that an alpha male wouldn't really do unless you're into their territory. Well, we already know that we're not in their territory. I already know that. If I was, I wouldn't be here really talking to you right now. So we're on the outside of the area. But once again, a lot of the behaviors we get are like teenager type behaviors. And a lot of the sighting reports I get out of this area have seen a big one. These are just people giving a big one with a small one. So we would put that as a mother and a small one. And so when you put that together, I'm like, okay, this is cool. And then people are like, well, a 13-inch track, that could be a female. Correct, it could be. But in the same sense, what I personally believe, because if we're going by behavior now, that because we have now encroached, what I did is I set a whole camp up. So I have this makeshift bush camp in the back of the woods that I screw up the woods. And that's what I do on purpose, is screw up the woods on purpose to catch attention. And sure enough, boom, 13-inch track, boom, right in the middle of camp. Boom, there's another track. Here's another track. And so, but to bring that up, the Chinese alphabet, and that's why we're talking globally, it logically would make sense to me, because whatever this creature was understood what it was. And if it didn't have some kind of knowledge from Asia based to actually make this happen. So here's another thing I did. So I was blown away once I found, I'm like, wow, this is complete bullshit right now. I can't believe this worked. So let's keep going with it. I'm being honest. Like, I'm just being honest. And, so then I went back and one thing I always done though, one of the big things I do when I research is I believe they know your voice. And Mike, I've heard you talk about those things too. Mm-hmm. So every time I go into the woods though, I always say friends. And I make whoever's with me say friends. So even though they may not know what the word is, I believe they know the tone of your voice, because it's good vibes. Like, someone started off the show like, yo, I got good vibes here because we're just cool kids just hanging out, right? So, but I believe when you're in the woods, they understand that too. They understand your vibe. And that once again goes on both sides. You know if someone's fucked up or not. Well, within 2 seconds, right? Mm-hmm. At risk
of being misunderstood right now, I'm myself when I walk in. So like, as I would walk into my best friend's house, I walk in, I'm like, "What's up, motherfuckers?" Like I just I just am myself.
Vibe,
like,
though. Yeah,
it's
your intention.
I'm not always like that on camera, because like I try not to mouth around, because like you guys have your kids listening around. Like, you guys have, like, I know what it is to have kids around. Like, I'm the worst. I have the worst mouth ever. But like, I talk to them as if myself. And like the one video, you hear them like right as I finish talking, you hear sup. Like he literally says sup. Now this goes a little deeper, because there was a researcher prior to me that I didn't know about for a while. And he was doing the same areas, almost weirdly, like these same areas. No way to know, like, but he was doing the same area. He has like a blog, I guess it's called, or whatever. Like, he wrote it all out. It's like a couple of pictures in there, but it's all written out every time he went out. He didn't really video. But he was here for work or whatever. So like, sometimes he was out in like business attire and shit, like, what I mean? But his last name is S-U-P. So I was like, I don't know, but like, oddly, like, I had to take a look at that. You know what I mean? So, his last name is Sup, which is interesting, but it could be either way. You know what I mean? Or it could be nothing. It could just be a noise. I don't know. Maybe they mimic me, because, like I said, I'm like, yo, what's up? Like, I walk in like that. Like, but interesting enough, like, somebody was saying, what dimensions is Bigfoot in? And like Sarah was saying, like, oh, why would they come here out of all things, and this and that? But like I was saying earlier, they're almost like guardians of us, or like something to that effect. Like, I have a strong feeling about gut instinct being, like almost like a guardian angel. Like, I feel like we all have one task to us. And this is going to like a different level for a lot of you. I get it. Like, I don't speak about it often, but like, for those of you who know me. But like, I feel like we're all tasked one. Now, you were saying they're like smaller prints and stuff. I feel like it's usually like the eldest son, sometimes, or like a middle son, if you will. Like the elders, the largest ones. It's almost like a giant crocodile, like a giant anything. They don't really get messed with by humans, because they don't really get seen. They don't get killed by humans, because they don't get seen. Anything big and smart and large and been around for a while knows to stay the hell away from us. Like, so like when they send out this young one, like, sometimes I think they're in essence a little bit more sloppy. You know what I mean? Like, so even for those people who aren't really like interacting with it on a grand level and stuff. Like that's why they're just bumping into and having a sighting of like a 7 or 8 footer, because they get way bigger. We all know they get huge. And you know, so for what I thought, it was like, oh, I had to go to the Pac West for this, but like little did I know. You know what I mean? But you know, I see one that was tipping the scales like close to 20, and it's on a live stream, and I still trying to come back and find it. You know what I mean? And I go to that area a lot lately. Like I went and gifted pumpkins recently, you guys. So I went. They finally took the pumpkins. Like I know it wasn't a deer. I know it wasn't a human either, because I made a mess out of one of them, so that all the guts would be out and the seeds would be spread out. So even if somebody came by to pick it up, they wouldn't even want to get messy with that. They would just kind of pick it up and clean it up. You know what I mean? Or like, I guess deer could have licked that clean, but like as far as the whole pumpkins go, like I left a bunch of them and like scattered all over the place. So you know, it was interesting to see that they were all gone. Some were hidden, some were thrown in brush because I couldn't even get into it. I was like, all right, I can't get in there, so this will be like the deal breaker, you know. So I threw it in there because I'm like, you know, machete Jack will have to go in there to get this one, you know. So
Well, before we go on here, listen, you know, you mentioned juveniles, and speaking of juveniles, I have to go and put my little one to bed, but I really wish I didn't have to go right now, because it's been an absolutely fascinating conversation with you, Gary, and Mike. This is really, really cool, and I hope that we can do it again, and hopefully next time I can stay a little bit longer. But thank you so much. I'm sorry that I have to run.
it's all right, bro. We're here.
Yeah, nice meeting you, man. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, you too, Gary. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Maybe we'll talk soon, and maybe you'd be interested in coming on Dark Hour Paranormal and going into the rabbit hole with me. All right.
The rabbit hole's fun.
Excellent, bro. All right. Yeah. We'll talk to you guys later. I appreciate you both. Thank you so much. And we'll see you guys later on. Okay.
All right, bro. We're good.
Cheers.
Thanks, man.
Thank you. You too.
All right. So let's get to the nuts and bolts of this. So we'll get right to Project X, since we, you know, get so off topic. So we'll get right into that. So all right. So what NYBS Project X is Mike's a part of it. I also have 6 other researchers throughout New York State. And what it is now, this is what a lot of the stuff that, you know, a lot of probably people that are here are into, is the paranormal sides of Bigfoot. Okay, as I've already stated, you see my stance on Bigfoot, but I am now looking into the paranormal side of Bigfoot. And why is that? Well, I've had so many weird things happen that I cannot explain. I see orbs in the woods all the time. I see light anomalies in the woods all the time. You know, I've had all these weird. I've had batteries die in the woods that are brand new batteries. My car battery totally died in the woods, and I could tell that quick story if we have time, because that's kind of what prompted me to start doing this. I'll make it the quick version.
Okay, we got all night. Whatever you want to do.
But you know, like, I talk a lot. So I went to go set up a trail camera in the woods. So I went to, you know, put it up just to monitor the deer once again. I wanted to see what the animals were doing. The animals tell me if there's a possible squatch there or not. So that's kind of the way it works in my areas, and it seems to follow the pattern. Once again, brand new batteries, go to hanging on the tree, go to set the camera up. It didn't turn on. I'm like, great, this thing's malfunctioning. That's the first thing I do. And we all know how when we get into the woods, things just don't work. Like you drive an hour away to go an hour, 2 hours away, and then something just doesn't work. So by then I was cussing at the tree and cussing at the camera. And so I took all the batteries out and put them all back in, thinking, all right, well, you know, we'll see what this is about. And once again, it didn't turn on again. So I'm like, well, I might as well take the batteries out and maybe reset. So I'll let it reset. Took all the batteries back out of it. Turned the camera on to try to see if it had a reset on it. The camera turned on with absolutely no batteries in it. Now, I'm a tech nerd. I'm a techie guy. So, yeah, I got nothing for it. And it's on video. And I sent that to Kenny, and Kenny's like, I got nothing. I'm like, yeah, dude, I got nothing. And so once again, we have a trail camera that would no batteries. I would expect for like 2 to 3 seconds, maybe there's still some juice in it. I mean, we know that some things the batteries take out, you still have a little bit of juice left. This stayed on for a minute straight. Now, what was crazy about it is, and maybe they are, I lost Mike, but anyway, so they could have been jamming. Maybe they could have been, you know what I mean? So now I have this thing trail camera on for a minute and it's snapping pictures left and right, just snapping. The camera shutter is going. Now we use very expensive trail cameras. Once again, I try to get the best. I want the best quality. I'm all about nice quality and of the pictures. So, and then it just shut off. So after a minute, it was snapping pictures. It shut off. Now they didn't take any pictures. The card, the card was empty. So I'm like, whatever. By this time, I was really angry at this thing. So I'm like, I just wasted all this time out here, right? I'm like, great. I came all the way up here to do it. I had one specific goal and couldn't even get it done. And I'm very goal oriented. I'm very goal minded. Power and energy and human power. Yeah, and once again, Irby, you're 100% right, because being a paranormal person, now I can't stress enough. I own a paranormal team, a group. Tri-City York Paranormal Society. We've been going on for a very long time. I've been a paranormal researcher for 26 years. When I do ghost investigations, batteries die all over the place. So we expect that. We want that to happen. I want spirits to drain batteries, because then I know that there's going to be an event that's going to happen. And that's normally what happens, is something will drain batteries, then a huge event happens and they take that power. So all right, so now we're going back into the woods. So then I'm all mad now. So we start going back up to the car at this point. Get to the car. All right. Go to start my car. Battery's completely dead. Completely dead. Now you need to understand, I'm in the middle of the Adirondack Park with no cell phone service for 10 miles away. Now I am an ultra runner. I run ultra marathons and stuff. So I can, but it says, okay, but that's still going to take me, that's like a 2-hour one-way jog basically. And I, right. So I was
unexpected and you're in hiking gear.
Oh my God. Yeah, dude. And you know what I mean? And so long story short, once again, there was some guys camping. All right. Which was funny because I was kind of like, fuck, there's people here now. So now there's not gonna be no Bigfoots around. I got people that are all partying, blah, blah, blah. So I'm kind of like, this whole trip was just a waste. But anyway, so then the guys that I was cussing out in my brain, they had jumper cables. I'm like, all right, I love you now. You're my best friend. I'm thinking, I'm so sorry. So we go to jump my car. Didn't work whatsoever. Now there's no reason why my car shouldn't have gotten any juice in it whatsoever. You can have old beaters outside and jump them after the winter, no problem, as long as you have, good jumper cables and things like that. And my car's brand new. My car's brand new. So anyway, I'm just kind of reading some comments.
Don't worry about it. Somebody was being, I know it was a troll, and I just realized who it was hiding under that name. So don't worry about it. It's fine.
So anyway, so yeah, that happened, and honestly, I can't explain it. Like I can't explain it. Like I say, as a person that thinks logically, and I'm a very logical person, I couldn't explain it, and I'm not going to lie about it though either. So I actually went on a radio show, like a big time radio show, and started talking about it a little bit. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to share this. Oh my God, I got blasted. I got absolutely blasted. And I'm like, dude, I can't. All I can say is this is what happened. Like, I'm not going to lie about what happened. And now, what could the theory be? And most, I was like, imagine. Let's put paranormal weirdness to it. So, did my car battery drain when that camera was with no batteries going on clicking? Because what would keep that camera on with no batteries in it? And then I go back to my car and the battery's totally dead for no reason. So that's the $1 million question. Am I like, is there a connection there? Did something happen with that? But this is once again in a Bigfoot known area, and where I have plenty of evidence coming out of this area. So then I was like, all right, there might be something weird to this. So I started NYBS Project X, and now what we're doing is taking a lot of the equipment that I use in ghost hunting, EDI meters, more thermal cameras, full spectrum stuff, a lot of different frequency meters, all right? And we're now bringing them into the woods, all right? But setting up data experiments based on the scientific theory once in scientific method to then collect our data. Now, is that going to probably work? Not at all. I don't expect to be able to do the scientific method correctly to then get events to happen. But what we're trying to do is at least put the paranormal stuff that we talk about in Bigfoot with, the pictures that Mike's capturing, the vocals, all those type of things. We're trying to do it more in a scientific manner, like we do on the paranormal side. So I've started this project, and we're hoping to see get results out of it. Because then, if it backs up, now it's funny you guys talk about portals. I do believe in portals. I do. When we're doing ghost hunting, that's what we look for is portals.
Yeah.
Okay. When I'm in the woods, I do believe that there's portals in the woods. I mean, that would be silly not to. If I believe they're in a house, then they would have to be in the woods. So we're kind of, at that point where we're kind of looking at those kind of things. So this is a new project because once again, it's like, all right, what's going on? Like, why are these paranormal things happening? These paranormal type things happening in areas that we're looking for, for Bigfoot. And I think that's why, once again, a lot of people also put the Bigfoot phenomenon and paranormal together. I mean, it would make sense. So this project now is taking a scientific look at the paranormal in the Bigfoot field, which really people are scared to do. You know what I mean? And we're trying to now bring that to the forefront and make it more plausible and more logical for everybody. But also, it's going to bring the community, in my opinion, to more together. Because once again, you have look at Mike and I are two perfect examples. We have two separate ways we think about Bigfoot, but we're really good friends, and we can agree to disagree and be cool. And I think we need more of that in the Bigfoot community. It's okay to agree to disagree, you know what I mean? But we're all here for the same reason, Right. We're here to get answers, and we're here for an answer, and whatever that answer is, I mean, for yourself, and that's what we're doing. Like, I have my answer. Like I said to you guys, I had my encounter. So I've seen one, and for me, seeing is believing. All right. So many people have never seen a Squatch standing in front of them. I never in a million years thought I would ever witness a Squatch because I'm looking for one. I'm literally out there looking. So, once again, I was one of the few lucky people. Just like Mike has his encounters. So, but this is what we're doing is putting this to the forefront and now doing it in the paranormal way. Which is, once again, it's bad. We'll see. When they leave, does the power come back to the batteries right away? Mike, to answer that question, I know when they leave, does a battery power? When I got home, okay, I was like, I was all pissed because it was a bad night. I put the batteries back in the camera that I used in the woods, brand new. And I used the lithium batteries because I'm leaving these things out there and I don't want any issues. The camera came on, no problem. And since then, I've used that camera, and I've had no problems whatsoever. So, yeah. I mean, could it be a coincidence? 9 times out of 10, I'd be like, that's just bad luck. I don't believe it was a coincidence. I don't. I just don't.
Yeah, I had one area that I tried to film in. I tried to do everything there. Even to today, it's like spotty, but it's like this little area, and it's so different looking than everything else around it. It's weird. Like, it's insane. Like, you could tell that people at one point tried to knock these woods down. They only made it like 10 feet in there. Like, like that you could see where the equipment stopped. Like, and I couldn't go live there for like 2 months. I couldn't get past a 10-minute video. Even when I did, like, it would delete itself. It would go away. Like, I couldn't film. It would just cut off. Like, apps would go crazy. Like, and then I tried to bring cameras out there. They would just die, like you're saying. One thing I my Reiki master taught me was, not taught me, but she was like, oh, like, once my phone battery went dead and like I was able to like take like Reiki energy charge, and she's like, I put it over my phone and like charged it back up enough like to like a few percent to like turn it on and make the emergency call. So like if a human can do that through energy, like what are these guys working with, whatever, like, and you know, that's one thing I like about it, though. At least like for you, like you're not just like writing this stuff off. Like you do the paranormal side of things anyway. Like, but you know,
Mhm.
now you're taking this extra look at it, which is good too. So I don't know, like what is it that can do that? Can drain a battery like that, like fully? You know, is that paranormal? Is that something squatchy? You know, who knows? I left out. I left out like a couple of weeks ago. I left a phone, uh, an extra phone, videoing the audio recorder with the gifts in the middle, and the audio kept going. The audio recorder kept going, but the phone, right when the audio started picking stuff up, less than a minute prior to that, the phone cut off. And I had it on full battery, full storage, everything, but the phone cut off. And then like you hear on the audio something scuffling around it and everything. And I don't know, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, these are the weird things that do happen that, you know, I can't explain. So and then, you know, Sasquatch Omega's question about things following you home. As a paranormal person, I've had plenty of things follow me home. You know, even though you do your best to protect yourself in those situations, we have really no control over anything when it comes to, you know, paranormal. I mean, we don't. It's basically your intent. Um, but as far as Bigfoot, Mike, have you ever had that happen?
Um, I'm gonna read it now about this. About I'm gonna ask Leon about this. A lot of us investigators are experiencing paranormal things that follow us home, specifically poltergeist activity and shadow people straight. Um, so I noticed in the beginning, like things came in hot and heavy. Like, so I don't know what to chalk it up to, but there was a lot of things up in the house, like as far as like moving things around, like putting things, like I would get up and like things would appear under where I was sitting, like answering questions I was thinking about one time. Like I don't get Taco Bell sauce packets, nor does anyone in my house. Like we don't even get Taco Bell really. Like it wasn't in my house, let alone in my lap where it would fall under my ass. And I was sitting there for a while debating something. Like it was like a big move for myself, and like the sauce packet had like an answer on it. I forget what it said exactly, but it's in like my gift box, you know, it's so like I could look at. But it had like, you know, like almost like a magic 8 ball type of answer, like, you know, like do what you got to do or like whatever. But like, you know, it was like, and it was funny because I was like, it's so weird. There's no way. Here goes the rest. Walk outside. I was here. Come back. There's three more that say the same exact thing, sitting in the same spot. So like it was like, you know, it was almost like showing off type thing. Um, we see stuff like shadow people and things in the house. I don't I don't know if they're connected. I don't know if that's something that's related. If people say they follow you home, I think they're just everywhere they want to be. You know, I don't you know think that they're not they shouldn't be here. I asked them not to like bang on the house and like, you know, they refuse to listen to me about the lights outside. The sensors work, but none of the lights work. You know, like the sensor comes on, but they don't work, and they work all over the house except over mine. The two over mine, like I try to say, this is for bad humans, not for you guys. Can you just leave the lights? Like I walk the kids out. They, you know, for a while they let them come back on, I think, and now it's like no. But you know, they're welcome here. I go to their house, they're welcome here.
Mhm.
Um, it's like 2 Sundays ago, right before I came on. Some I don't know. I went to put a I put a I put a snack on the back fence post, like it was like a peanut butter sandwich. And as soon as I put it on, I didn't even get halfway back to the house before I heard it like like you could hear it get ripped off of the fence. And like I'm in the middle of suburbia, like so how'd they get here? Like I always say, like they didn't go skipping through the neighborhood. You know what I mean? Like there's no way. Like so, how did they get here? Um, whether it's portals, whether it's you know, the ability to. I don't think cloaking is cloaking. So I think they're in this alternate like parallel, if you will, and they're kind of like they're not fully here. Like when you see them in flesh and
Mhm.
blood, they're like here. I think that cloak is an alternate parallel, and they're kind of like almost like a cellophane, like kind of like poking through it. You know what I mean? Like checking you out, kind of like so
Mhm.
you can kind of like see them in this alternate realm, like right next to you. It's almost like a parallel, like it's right there. Like and you could see them, but like you know you can't. and like it comes up in photos a lot better because you know what I mean? Like it's almost like in person. It's almost like when you're driving down the road and like up the hill, you see the heat wave like over the road. Like it's kind of like something like that. It looks like it could look like. And as far as like seeing portals and stuff, like you might not always see them in person, but again, you could pick them up on cameras. Like if you take a lot of pictures, like especially a shutter shot, like you can almost see like these like like lights like opening up, which can be confused for an orb because like it kind of looks like a colorful light that, but like you'll see it grow almost like but they're not like they don't look bally to me. They look more of like a slit, like kind of like a slit. And high vibrational levels is a good indicator, I think, of portals and stuff. So you can
Well,
start to feel EMF. This could be the same concept. Like you'll start to feel dizzy and like a little lightheaded and like vibrational levels will change and stuff. And this is just all off like not all of its opinion, but a lot of it is it's nothing that you can literally say like here's the evidence and proof why, and that's where a lot of
mhm,
it falls by the wayside.
mhm. No, and it's saying I totally agree, and it's really cool because one of the first experiments that me and the crew are gonna do with the Project X and the paranormal side of Bigfoot is we're looking into the spiritual side of Bigfoot first. All right, if we listen to the Native Americans and those kind of things, they say it's a spiritual being, and once again, you know we go by the Native American lore and folklore of the Sasquatch. The NYBS kind of follows that practice of it, and once again we've talked to Native Americans and things, and we kind of they know. I mean, they know this stuff. They live with these
Yeah,
things.
no doubt.
We haven't really, not in the same way. So first thing that we're doing is the spiritual test. All right. So people say that they can bring a Bigfoot to them. And we're kind of almost what I think Sasquatch Omega is talking about, things following you home and things like that. Is that once again, people say they can call a Bigfoot in anywhere. It doesn't matter where they are, they can call one in. So that's the first test we're going to do. All right,
Yeah,
is we're going to call a Bigfoot in. We're going to try to call a Bigfoot in spiritually. Once again, when we talk about intent, all right, when we do paranormal work, your intent is your intent. Like people get scared of Ouija boards, and I love Ouija boards once again, but people are like, oh my God, it's a Ouija board. You're going to summon demons, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, there's no difference between a Ouija board and if I pretend this is a digital recorder. So I use my digital recorder on my cell phone. And I use a Ouija board that looks pretty nice, but you can get them for $10 at Toys R Us and those kind of places. So they're so scary. They actually make a princess one too that has a crown on it. So scary. But the moral of the story, yeah, it's
it
scary,
could
bro.
just
It's
be
scary.
a way that you're literally calling them in and like they're just readily
Correct.
available and like, you're just really
Yep.
like you're just really giving them the option to do it.
The option to do it. So and that's the thing is, the difference I always say in my lectures, difference with a Ouija board, I burn calories because I'm moving my hand. So I'm burning calories instead of talking into a recorder for them to talk. But the moral of that story is intent is intent. Your intent to communicate. That's why the spiritual people in the Bigfoot phenomena believe that it's a spiritual being that's from a different dimension, that you can draw it to you because it knows you, it knows your vibration and frequency, and it knows your intent, that you can be in your bed and draw one in. You could be in your house
Well,
and draw one in. It's all about thought process, and we hear that.
well, a
So
lot.
that's the first thing. Go ahead.
Sorry, I think personally, a lot of people are more relaxed home, especially in their sleep. Like a lot of that like vibrational levels, like you're not
Mm-hmm.
really there. Like when you're out, a lot of people are distracted. A lot of your mind somewhere else. E- Even when you're out in the woods, even if you are looking for them, like a lot of that is like. Like I'm looking. I want to see one. I want to see one. Like you're picturing Patty video. Like a lot's going through your mind. Like when I go out, I go blank slated. Like I tried to use
Mm-hmm.
that Reiki. Like meditation is a good way, I guess, but like Reiki's
Mm-hmm.
a little different for me. But I go out blank slated and like calling them to you, like kind of like you go out and you just kind of say like, here I am. Like, what's up,
Yeah.
guys? Like, here I am. Like, here it is. Like, here's what I got for you. Like, how you doing? Like, like it's I always refer to it because I used to go whale watching every year. And I kind of refer to it the same way. Like you're not going to go ride around the boat and just hit the whales. Like you kind of got to go and just kind of, you know, even like how people draw sharks to them. Like you throw chum in and they come to you. You can't drive around and find them. Like you have to find a way to say like, here I am, and like let them come. And like if you find a good way, you know, like a lot of people say, oh, it's apples, oh, it's peanut butter. Just go be yourself. You know what I mean? Go be yourself. Whatever it is, like you said, show that intent. You know what I mean? Like show that you're there for them. Like when you go, like, you know, like don't, like, not to say like, oh, the leaves aren't pretty and oh, the birds are pretty, but like go for the intent. Like go and show interest fully in them. You know, like check out their structures, if you will. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, it's, you know, calling them to you is really, that's like a trick. You know, I think probably you could call your personal one, that one's that's tasked to you, and vice versa. I think you could probably call that one to you on some level, you know. But as far as like just calling in randoms, I don't know. That's a trick, you know. That's something amazing. But the Native Americans, they say Bigfoot comes from the stars, like, you know, Mihawk Indians say, you know, wherever Bigfoot goes, a lantern follows. Like if you look at what they say and like you decipher it, you know what I mean? Like there's a lot. Like you said, they've lived with them, you know, and they've been segregated from us, the Native Americans. They've been segregated from us. Like no matter how you look at it, like whether, you know, the white man did a good deed by giving them their own land or not, they're still separated from us in some sense. So, you know, we can gain a lot from them.
And that's the thing. So the first thing that we're going to start doing is trying to call them into our backyard. All right, it's that simple. And it sounds funny, and people are like, "You're going to try to get a Bigfoot in your backyard? That makes no sense." I'm like, "Well, I do have woods in my backyard. I live in upstate, so I'm not worried about that part." But second off, well, once again, from the spiritual side of things, and these people that do say they can do it. So if we're going to go by what they say that they can do, that our first paranormal experiment with Bigfoot is drawing them into our backyards. Then after that, using the scientific method, which I've already written up, so it's all set. Second, and then what we're going to do is take that information, okay, and go into the woods, but go into our local woods, and do the same thing. So the same thing that we're doing in our backyards, we're going to go into the local woods, and not Bigfoot woods. I'm not talking about Bigfoot woods. I'm talking about local woods in the city and wherever you got to go. Then we take that into the Bigfoot woods, where we know where they are, and see what the different reactions are from that, and then come up with that theory. I mean, this is how we're going to plausibly, you know, say that these things could work. Because until you do the research on it, I don't think many people go into their backyards, put together an experiment, and then try to call Bigfoot.
Well, we've done this for a while now. A lot of people who want to get started, but like, we have a couple, like LIB, the female admin. They have their own channel now. They've been here, Paul and Brandy, the Bigfoot and Cryptid NEX. Like Paula has some of the most amazing footage I've ever seen. She started in her backyard. They you know, well, we have, but they do it all the time now. They help people start from their yard. Hey, this is where you can start from. Like you don't have to go far. And that's been one of my main missions for the longest time. Like I'll subtly put in there, but like I'll pan over and show a house. You know what I mean? Like, and like, I don't know, like I get ridiculed for it all the time. Oh, bullshit. There's a house right there. So what? The road and the house came after. You know what I mean? Like just because it's overpopulated here with people, granted, there's a lot of places I can go where I could be secluded, but it's not necessary. You know, and that's it's a tough thing to show, but you know, it's just something that's been possible for me. You know, I have photos of them in the yard. You know what I mean? It's you know, the photo part isn't the cool part. You know what I mean? Like it's
no, it never is.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, but that's like just kind of how I could show it. But like when you see them in your yard, like it's like, whoa. You know what I mean? Like, whoa. Like, so for some people, that's like something they'd never want to happen. You know what I mean? But for other people, it's better that way. They don't have to go out into the far beyond. And, you know, because that's how I was sold. I was sold a dream that I had to be, out in the deepest, forest, the deepest forest in the world, and that's where they were, and that's the only place they were, and you know, um, it's just not the case, at least here. And that's what I always
Hmm.
remind people. I'm only talking for what I know and where I've been, and that's here.
Hmm.
That's here. So, uh,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I had a sighting.
Go ahead.
I had a sighting right outside a military base at Fort Benning,
Hmm.
Georgia. You know what I mean? I was
Hmm.
told it was like a 600-pound boar or whatever they told me.
Hmm.
I bought it because I had to. But
Hmm. No, and Sasquatch Omega said, he asked, they seem to act, different, act differently once they know you're there. 100%. I see that. I've seen this all the time. Once you notice them, once you start keying in on them, whatever procedure you're doing, key in on them. And I think it's simple. I mean, people talk about telepathy and telekinesis and things like that. It could be as simple as you think that they're there, and then something changes. Honestly, I've seen that also. I'm not saying I'm not saying that's exactly what it is, but our vibration could change in our body. You got to remember, our bodies give off an EMF field. So when people talk about EMF, humans give off EMF, so that we know that they give off EMF. If there is
yeah,
a creature out there, and animals read that, they actually make hunting clothes that cover your EMF in your body. So once again, animals don't pick you up at all. So you actually go invisible. So if our intent is that, oh, we know you're there,
mm,
somehow our frequency could go out, our EMF can change. Maybe they can just notice our body language change, because we read body language. Animals read body language too.
sure.
So we do see that. We definitely do see that. So that's a great question. That's a great question. Yeah, and then one of the guys, Bob Gray, saying they can climb trees, they can swim. Yeah, they can.
Yeah,
There's plenty of sightings, and they would be able to do all that.
yeah,
It's very easy for them
yeah,
to do all that stuff.
yeah.
So
They swim. They swim really well, actually.
yeah.
I mean, I don't even. Yeah, it's not even Paul again. Paula from Bigfoot and Cryptid NEX. She has a video in there somewhere on their channel. I think it's Bigfoot and Cryptid capital NEX. Um, Check it out. She has one. I don't know what it's called. I think it might just be called Swimmers. But like she has them bobbing. Like I
Hmm.
mean, I was
Hmm.
there for the live stream. Like I watched it go down, and she was like, "Look, there's swimmers," and I'm like, like I laughed it off, kind of like I'm like,
Hmm.
there must be like people in there, like logs bobbing around. Sure as shit, And then like other people started talking about like old bears, Bigfoot, old bears, then a Bigfoot. He was like going to bat for them, swimming like crazy. Like I mean, he was like getting mad in defense of people for me, like. Like,
Hmm.
no, they swim. Like, don't fuck around. Like, they're not landlocked there, like in Long Island. Like, I was like, all right. You can
Hmm.
learn a lot from people. And
No, you
it's
can. You can.
it's not something you would think about, really. Oh, someone was born at, oh, cool. Yeah, Fort Benning is, oh, Martin Army. A lot of time spent there. Kidney stones, lots of them. Martin Army Hospital.
But
Um,
yeah, so those are the kind of projects that we're starting with right off the bat. Spiritual Bigfoot project. They and once again, like I said, like your crew has been working in the backyard, in just your backyard. So if hypothetically I can take a group of people, we can go out into the backyard, document this stuff in a way that you can really document it, and then build a database based on that, on the evidence that's being collected and the data that's being collected. Then you have something to then build off of and be like, listen, when people are shunning the paranormal side of Bigfoot, look at the data right here. And it can't be just pictures. It's more than just pictures, because if I go on YouTube right now, I can pull up a million different things on YouTube that is fake or that isn't really what it is.
mm,
And that's why I always say to Mike, like, I'm not a big YouTube person, because
I know, I
YouTube,
get it. Listen,
because of that.
it's like the clickbait capital of the world. You know
It
what I
is.
mean? Like,
And that's what exactly.
I can have a lot of I can have the best thing in the world inside the video, and like, I'll just call it like, Sunday squatching, like whatever, like, because I don't want to be that person that's like huge Bigfoot, da 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 da, like,
Hmm.
and granted, sometimes I'm like, I think one I called like Bigfoot on Long Island because it was like a 2-minute video of what I thought was a Bigfoot at the time. Now I think it's a reptilian, but whatever. That's a whole nother story. Like my buddy Dean always says, like, we're a newer country, granted. So like you were brought up China earlier and the alphabet and stuff, and he brings up a good point. Like a lot of these other places, like they're like not idolized, but they have like reptiles as like not worship. I don't know how to say it, but like the Chinese dragon and stuff, like all these things. You know what I mean? Like so, like we're such like a new country and like new like culture. Like a lot of it's
now
just.
I am an alien guy. Like I say, I am an alien guy. I do believe in aliens. I believe in all that. I do study the reptilians, the Greys, C5. Where you can actually call in. We can call in just by doing meditation and call in supposedly a UFO. David Greer study, like I'm all into that. I really am.
Yeah.
But once again, kind of like we were talking about earlier, that's a whole different category in itself.
Well,
so I put that in.
Yeah, DHB that was just on. He started with Richie from Goofon. He just started a channel called Third Phase, which is like a sub channel of Third Phase and for Third Phase Moon, which is like the biggest UFO channel on. But so they just started like so they're doing like stuff that like Third Phase Moon is huge. Like they can't cover everything. So like they just started one called Third Phase where they're gonna him and Richie from Goofon are doing something too. So so it's there's a lot to be tackled, but Greer has been around forever doing a lot, but that's what is it? C5 stuff is I haven't really, I haven't fully got into it. Somebody sent me something too on here called Phenomenon that
I saw that.
I haven't seen it. I started and I think I passed out. Oh, there she is.
What's really funny, as I tell everybody, is like, I do a lot of Bigfoot stuff, and I do a lot of ghost stuff, but I don't watch the ghost shows on TV. I don't watch any of the Bigfoot shows on TV. I watch monster shows because I love all the other cryptids. I don't really watch Bigfoot though.
They do the most basic shit that's proved to do nothing. Like smash a tree against a tree. And
I'm guilty of that. I'm not gonna lie. Like I say, like the shows that I did, that's exactly, there's a specific way that people look at Bigfooters. But then
even at one point you were like, oh, there's something over here, guys, like, and they went over there, but they were all like standing around like do.
Yeah.
Like,
the only reason that was because I got pissed because we're legit, like during that show, I was like, really, this is what we're doing. We're just standing around doing nothing. I'm like, so I took a cameraman and I'm like, listen, we're going. I go, so they put me, I'm like, we're going in the woods. This is what I do. I'm not going to do what they do. Because once again, and it sucked, and that's why I left that culture, because I don't do that. I don't stand around pie campfire talking and shooting shit and bang. I don't do that. That's not my style. I like to be down in the woods, down in that stuff, and then if something happens, like it happens. But that's what I did. I took a cameraman with me and like, yo, we're going. Let's go. And he's scared shitless. And we're walking through the middle of the woods, pitch black. He has one of those $50,000 Starlight scopes on his camera, which was absolutely amazing. And sure enough, we had something walking in front of us, and we got a tree knock right in front of us. We have a tree knock, which you actually heard on the show. But like you say, but you have to that's the problem with Bigfoot. And even ghost shows are the same thing. It's the same shit. Like everybody does the same thing. That's not what it's about. And that's why I admire, actually, it's funny because I admire the people that do the paranormal side, because you're looking at it from a totally different standpoint. And like I said, and I think I've told you, back in 2014, I just mentioned the word paranormal because I'm like, you know what if, this is going back now, what if Bigfoot is an interdimensional being? And I said that. And I'm like, what if it can jump portals? Because I've seen orbs in the woods. I've seen bright lights in the woods, sitting in one spot where there was no moon, no nothing, big balls of light in the woods. Like I say, I'm a mountaineer, I'm a bushwhacker, I'm a avid hiker, as you know. I'm always in the woods doing stuff. You cannot explain that to me. Try to explain it, because once again, is it swamp gas? No. Is it electromagnetic fields coming up through the granite, because in New York we have so much granite in New York. No. Is there limestone? Limestone does hold energy. We know that. Is there limestone? I highly doubt it. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
That, my friends, is why, as a person that studies the side that I do, I'm not closed down to the idea of interdimensional beings, interdimensional travel, Bigfoot possibly being one of these interdimensional things, because we don't have a specimen in captivity to study it. We don't have a dead specimen publicly, and I make sure to say that publicly, that we know about, that is being studied. So I think, as a researcher and being a level-headed researcher, it's very important. And I wish more researchers would do this, that in the field where they think it's a flesh and blood being, and just come out and take the steps needed to study the paranormal phenomena side of the Bigfoot. Because even if we're all right and even if we're all wrong, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter, because we're just trying to gain information. That's all we're doing, is trying to gain information, and working together is how we do that. But once again, I can't, and people say, they believe they're interdimensional, and maybe they really are, and I can't pronounce his first name, but his last name Salisbury. He's been saying, he thinks that they're a form of human, and things like that. They're a race of human, and as Mike was talking about a little while ago, Native Americans would come and say that they were their own group of humans, like they're their own tribe. And and that's the thing. And that's the thing with the Native Americans that we've talked to. Like, they're known people. They live in the woods. They have their own tribe. They used to offer them. They used to offer them a woman at the end of every harvest, because for the next harvesting season. So they would come into camp, or they're not camp, but you get into their little like tribal area. So, and then they would do an offering. So the Native Americans, the Iroquois Indians, would offer them a woman, and the Algonquins, and then they would Bigfoot would take the woman off into the woods to never be seen again. And to them, it was an offering to the gods to have a better harvest the next year. So you do, and I say we've talking to these people. So it depends on, once again, which tribe you're talking to. Sure. Because once again, I've heard the tribes also that said that they're star people. They come from the stars.
Yeah. Long Island's broken down into originally 13 tribes, and it's still broken down that way. Like, you can look up where they were, it's almost broken down how it's 2 big counties. Well, 4 if you count Queens and Brooklyn, because they're part of Long Island, but they don't want to be, but they are. But there's 2, Nassau and Suffolk, but it's also broken down into 13 old tribes. And man, you got me with the Algonquin now. But the Shinnecock are a subderivative of it's not the Algonquin. Something else with an A. Anyway,
also because we're in upstate. So the Iroquois and the Algonquins, you got to remember, that's Adirondack and that's Western New York. Yeah. So, but they're right next to each other pretty much.
Yes, right.
So once again, if we're looking at different, different stories and folklore from these tribes themselves, those two, because they're right next to each other, they would think something very similar. Because once again, because the tribes are right next to each other, maybe, and then other tribes that are farther away from those belief systems with that. But that's what they used to do. They used to do an offering. So they offer a woman off to the Bigfoots, which the Bigfoot was a clan of people. And, and that's kind of what they did. And it says, funny if they found out Sasquatch 8 women, well, who knows? I mean, it's funny. Maybe it's not funny, because this is, let's talk about research. Whenever I bring a woman, and maybe you notice this, whenever we bring women out into the field, we get a totally different response.
Wow.
Literally totally different responses. They are so more, for us, they are much more active. When I have women in the woods, it's like they explode. It's like, what's going on? I get rocks thrown in. We get tree knocks. When I'm out in the woods, a lot of times by myself, I'll get up in the same area. I don't get much, and it would make sense because once again, you're bringing in, a woman that they could probably smell their pheromones. They probably, once again, if they are, I mean, if we do put it into like a flesh and blood category, they're going to understand that whole process of a male female thing. Okay. Because of just the smells alone. And then if you look at it from an interdimensional type thing, maybe there's something to do. They can come through and they want to kind of take one. I don't even know. I don't even know where to start with that. But it would make sense. It would make sense that we get those responses.
Yeah, I mean, like, to me, like, if they wanted to, they would just take what they wanted. You know what I mean? Like, there's no need to, like, wait for them to even come out there. So, like, for me, it's like it's interesting, but like, Sarah tends to get ahead of me all the time. Like, it just happens. Like, whether it's like I'm like like looking around, like looking in, like while we're walking, like, so she always ends up getting ahead of me. So when she gets ahead, I'll, like, if I'm filming or whatever, I have the camera out, like, I'll take a picture and like whether you want to call it pareidolia or not, like, there's shit all around her. You know what I mean? Like, it's like it's and it's, I don't know. It's fun for me to always see the differences when I bring out certain people. Like when Jeff came up from Alabama, everything like lit up for that guy, like, or for us, whatever the case was. But like, it was like a really active couple of days, and I don't know. I don't know necessarily if there was anything particular to that, but so it's interesting. Like, it depends, but I believe the same thing. I believe that when there's a female out there, it's definitely a little different.
Yeah,
I
and
only
Sasquatch Omega is bringing up some great points. Use if for researchers that want to go into the woods, use black lights. We use black lights. Black lights, you can find tracks. They're great for looking if you're looking on the ground. You find one track. If you know anything about tracking in the woods and tracking animals and those kind of things, if you even though you lose a track, the ground is still disturbed. So if you start using black lights, you can find the track path still, even though they're not digging deep down. You can definitely get down in there. And he also brings up the UFO thing and IR cameras. We use IR cameras. We use full spectrum cameras, but we also use flare thermal scopes and flare thermal cameras. I love the thermal camera and the fact of you anything that's going to send a heat signature, you're going to pick up in 1 second. So as far as like safety is concerned, if you ever want to, if you're out in the woods and you start hearing something around you that, maybe like a bear or maybe a cat, you're going to pick that up on a thermal camera real quick. So it's good for safety, but they're god awful expensive. They really are. IR cameras. Yeah, flares are, I spent a fortune on them. Now, the IR cameras, once again, great. You get the night vision footage. Once again, it's great. You want that nice night vision footage, and you can see pretty far into the dark. Same thing with full spectrum cameras. Now, full spectrum cameras would be the same, use the same in our paranormal stuff, because full spectrum cameras see all the light spectrums from IR all the way to UV, okay? And so they're looking at all the light frequencies. So you get a lot of paranormal weirdness on these cameras, and you can pick up really nice orbs on them. You can pick up, all sorts of like shadow. We've got shadow people on them, and things like that. So it's a great thing. And the thermal is a great detection tool. I love the thermal. I really do. Also,
me personally, sorry, go ahead.
No, and night vision binoculars. So night vision binoculars are the way to go. Everything.
I think the monocular is definitely a good way to go as well. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Talking about different things, like, left side of the brain. Like, I think like the monocular could definitely have a benefit there too. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not a scientist, but like in theory, using two eyes, like you're doing two different things really. Like whether they're connected or not. Like the monocular is almost like, you know what I mean? Like you're like more focused, if you will. You know what I'm saying? Like. I've thought the same thing with binoculars. For some reason, me personally, I could always see better with one of those like telescope things than I could with binoculars. I don't know why. I don't have the science behind that, but personally, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, personally, all I was gonna say is, that black light thing, the FLIR, all that stuff is cool. Like, I'm just big on like nothing fancy as far as like trying to
Mhm.
trick them. Like I don't necessarily believe in trail cameras. Like I gave away my drone because like I don't want to like fly up on, sneak up on them, or like try to catch them like running around and shit. Like, because like all that's gonna get me is a photo or a video, which I already have. I'm all about the interaction. I'm not trying to
Mhm.
get something a camera behind me and catch something in the
Mhm.
trees behind me, looking up and pop it. I don't give a shit. I have it.
Mhm.
We all have it. What good
Mhm.
does that do besides wow factor for passing it out? I'm down for the interaction. That's where I'm
Mhm.
at. I've been there for a long time. You know what I mean? Like, so
Yeah,
I'm
and
into the
I totally agree with you.
yeah, I'm into the close
Yep, I
quarter
totally agree with you.
personal thing. Like so. But
Yep.
that's hey, what's up, TFV? Welcome. Yes, that's just where I'm at
And
personally.
that's
But
one
like,
thing the NY. Well, no, and it's great, and that's the way, and that's the best way to be. And I agree with that. I agree with that 100%. The NYBS and myself, what we do, I call that a leisure walk. And what we do is we do leisure wood walks that we have absolutely nothing on us whatsoever. Because once again, we go into the areas, with just normal, just a hiking bag, some survival gear like a normal hiker would do, and go out into the woods and do a hike. I think our woods are a little bit different than the woods that you're going in,
sure,
because we're in like the wood, we're in like
sure,
the deep woods.
yeah,
So it's like so it's a little bit different, but once again, we call that a nice leisure walk. Go in with nothing. Go in with not. The problem is, even though you're going in with nothing, you still have an intent. Your intent is to see something. So if we're gonna think about it being a paranormal being, the Sasquatch would already know what you're thinking,
yeah.
because they
Okay,
know that you're there, even though you're not bringing anything with you this time around. You're still
yeah,
there to
yeah,
communicate and see what it's going to do. So
no
you're
doubt.
kind of damned. You're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't. I
The
can tell you
most
though that,
the most important
over.
part is oh sorry, the most important part
Oh,
I
go ahead.
think is to if you want to catch them or whatever, like like I think same shit, they know you're coming, like they know where you're gonna be before you know where you're gonna be. So like I'll always like film the drive in almost like, or like the seconds, like from getting out of the car and getting ready, like I'll film that part or whatever, because like sometimes that's like the most. You know what I mean? Like you said, like they might know what you have. Like if I don't have shit, they might be like, "Oh yeah, like, okay, like I got something for you." Nothing too.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like
Yeah.
I don't know.
And someone brought it up perfectly. Like, you're sitting there with a night vision binocular in your eye, and then, they're staring at you. You see one in front of you, say hypothetically, and you don't know it's there yet. And then they're looking at you like, what is that thing in front of me that has this big thing up on my eye? And it's like this nice green lens. So it's like, it's a catch-22 any way you look at it on all sides. But I think it's important to look at the paranormal side, and that's kind of the whole thing. Like, I think it's super important. I think as researchers, we need to be more open-minded to the possibilities of that, because, like, think about it. Right now, I'm reading this, your chat room, and so many people are like, it's interdimensional, it's a UFO, it's the aliens, the
Yeah,
reptilians, and you know what? You're all right.
yeah,
None of you are wrong.
no,
Another person is kind of like, it's a human race, it's a different human race. If they're master of their environment, you're not wrong. You have to be open-minded to all possibilities. They can jump in and out of portals. Great. I mean, maybe they can.
yeah,
And who am I to say that they can't?
right.
um, until I see one happen. And seeing is believing, once again, for me. So that's kind of where it's at, because, like I say, I had my experience. So I guess until you really see a 7 to 8 foot, couple 100-pound thing standing in front of you, and you're trying to process that in your brain, it's hard to grasp any concept around it. So it's like, you gotta be open-minded to all the possibilities, and that's the thing is, maybe if we all don't just take so much a stance on one side or another, and kind of lump it into just phenomena that's based on everything, it's all mixed together,
Yeah,
so, and then we can all look at it from that side, and that's what the NYBS is doing now, is taking a step back from our belief system and what we've been doing over the years, and now taking a kind of like a side project and being like, listen, this is what we're going to do. Like, we're going to now look into the phenomena based on with scientific data, with science, and now try to, once as we do in ghost hunting, now back this up in the Bigfoot phenomena. And well, with the help of Mike, with the help of Diane out of Dutchess County, with the help of John Schneider from out in Western New York Bigfoot Society, and other people, I really believe that we can take the scientific approach, the best way that we can do it, get data collected, and then boom, we can have numbers, we can have evidence to then when these people are like, well, look at that blob squatch again, and look at that blurry picture. We're like, listen, there's more to the blob squatch, there's more to the blurry picture, there's more to that stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think in the community as a whole, it's very important that we do that. So, and that's the thing. We have to stay open-minded. Everybody's right and everybody's wrong. It's all about our opinions. And unfortunately, when it comes to Bigfoot, we need to remember our opinions are our own opinions and our belief is our own belief. But yes, it matters, but it really only matters once we have that specimen. So until we get that one specimen that we know about, and when I say we, the general public, not the Patty film, you know,
that brings it round for the masses. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like there's the knowers and the believers, and you know what I mean. Like I can guarantee you, and like people like who've shown you like all enough to be like, yeah, for sure. But like that brings it around for the masses. Like, but I think a lot of what you're saying is like, oh, everyone's right. Like I'm a firm believer that like they're not gonna give me everything like about them because it's just too fucking much. It's just too much. So like we need to listen to each other because it's not like, oh no, you're wrong. You know, this is it. This is what I got. Okay, but maybe this is what you got, and like give it to them and then take what they got. And like, let's put it all together in this big melting pot, because something so advanced like this is not like gonna be like, you know, like first of all, the little bit I get is just like overwhelming enough. You know what I'm saying? Like it's overwhelming enough. Like a lot of these times I just throw everything. I throw everything up there. Like I'm not big on like production value and shit. Like as soon as I'm walking out of the woods, like I'm like beep, like upload. Like I don't fucking care. I busted my ass. Whatever. Like you know what I mean? Like it is what it is. But like here's what I got. Like you see my on Facebook page. Like here's the pics, raw and uncut, whatever. Like you know. I don't really look at them necessarily, but like a lot of you guys do, and you're like, oh, look at this, this, and this. Like, oh, good, awesome. Like, it's a big, big teamwork effort. Because, like, you know, like I'm good per se. I'm good in the woods, but I'm not good at like looking at the pictures necessarily. And some of you guys like help me out to such a like along the way. Like, it's been insane. And like, you know, so some of us are really good at other things. Like I always hear people like, oh no, thank you. Like you're the one out there doing it. Like, you know, because we can't like bullshit. Because you're doing something on that side of things that you might not realize is important. But the way you scan through those photos, the way you scan through that video, the way you pull that timestamp, the way you notice something in a way that nobody else can notice something because you're an individual is important. And like, it's all important to this. But I'm done. That's all I got. So
no, that's great. No, you're fine. That's what we do too. You know, I have professional photographers at my disposal that went to college for it. They actually do it for a living. They look at any kind of footage that we get, okay, and they give me the nice report because I don't understand any of that stuff. I have a professional videographer and producer that, once again, if I get any video footage, if I really need to use it, I will give it to the person in his field of study, because that's what he does for a living. I don't do that for a living, okay? I also I've collected DNA. I don't know if you've seen that before. I actually have the DNA vials. I have people that I can actually send DNA to, which is a lab and it's a college, and I can, you know, and I've done it before. And it came back unconclusive from a private client case. So we do have these steps and these people in place to send where we need to send this stuff. And I mean, once again, it's great. And the Facebook community as a whole, as you said, there's so many people that understand a lot of this stuff, a lot of the techie stuff, a lot of the computer type stuff. I'm like you, Mike. At the end of the day, I'm a field researcher. You know, Kenny, my co-host, my partner, he does a
Yeah.
lot of he does a whole other aspect of this field that I don't
Sure.
even look into and do.
Yeah.
He's an author. He knows a lot of these people. He understands that concept of it. Where me myself, I'm in the woods. I'm out there, boots on the ground, doing the work. Trying to talk
Yeah.
to people like you, coming up with the theories and possibilities. Talking to, once again, all the witnesses, and Kenny's talking to the witnesses and getting their stories, and we're all together. We're coming together and and working on these things, which is a great collaboration. He's an amazing guy, and I'm very blessed to have him. But yeah, it's like, once again, it's like, working together is how we do it. And then no one's right and no one's wrong, and it's like, if people, and I'm going to end in a minute here, but the message I like to put out to people is this: there's no reason for us not to get along in the fields. And the NYBS, by doing Project X, is coming outside of its comfort zone, which is my comfort zone. Okay. Yeah. And putting our name out there, saying, listen, we're looking at this from a paranormal aspect. And this is what we need to do. We have to look at this side of the field. And I've been blessed to meet so many awesome researchers within New York. Now, the NYBS only works in New York. That's it. Everything we do is New York only, because we don't have to go far for this stuff. So we are now putting together a paranormal experiment of Bigfoot research, basically, in New York. And to me, it's groundbreaking to have so many Bigfoot researchers on board on this, working together from different backgrounds, different people, different areas throughout the state. And we're doing the whole entire state, which is even amazinger, and come together with a consensus, because it's not just based on what I think. At the end of the day, like, I might go in my backyard tomorrow and do this experiment that I have all set. And I'm like, well, I didn't get anything, right? But then, Mike's like, well, I went in my backyard, I got this. And then, Joe's like, well, I heard this when I did this, which is really weird, or vice versa. So it's a collective group of people working together and coming up with some data numbers, and just some numbers and some data on something that people are so argumentative about. That, my friends, is what it's about. And it's like, and that's what's great about this stuff and these kind of shows, is that we get to meet, we get to talk of the weird, the fun, the strange, because Bigfoot's strange and weird. And then you got Dogman, you got Jersey Devil, you got all sorts of weird stuff we could talk about, all day long. And we're all weirdos in our own way, but at the end of the day, we get to share these experiences, and that is the proof. The proof is not what we're even talking about. We're talking about theories. Everything's a theory. The proof is when you have your encounter, and like Mike said, you don't go out with a camera. You're just in the woods. At the end of the day, when you're in the woods, or even maybe in your backyard, I don't know. You have that encounter, only you know how you felt. Only you know what you witnessed. Nobody can take that away from you. Like, that's it. That's it. So working together, trying to get answers. That's what we're going to do. And you say, and we're going to do it in a way that if we present it to people, being like, listen, we use a scientific method and maybe it worked, but you know what? We did this scientifically, as far as what we're taught in college, what we're taught in school. Yes, we're not scientists, but we can still follow the procedures that we were taught going through these things. And then guess what? Maybe we get something, maybe we don't. But at the end of the day, we're working together, and there's no bullshit involved. Because we can give each other fist bumps and high fives and shoot the shit and be all cool with each other and be like, listen, it didn't work, or it did work. Mike, dude, you're right. Like, this shit that you've been talking about, you're right. We now back this up. This is awesome. This is legit awesome. And if it doesn't work, we're right back to square one. So who cares? Because at least we're trying. You know what I mean? In the rabbit hole. And this is what this is. It's all about the rabbit hole. How we'll never go to the bottom of the rabbit hole. So
it's weird. It gets weird. Like you're saying, for instance, like you were there on that live stream on Facebook, I think. Remember when I found that watermelon
Mhm.
And I was like, oh, look at this. Like, I wonder what it is. And like, I put a knife cut through it. And then like, I was like, oh, maybe it was a nail that cut open. Then like, I was trying to find it. So like, we figured out like there was guts, because I was going to walk away and someone was like, no, check if there's more. So like, we found the guts, and like it rolled from the top of the hill. And then there was like a big footprint down there. And then there was a smaller one up top the hill, and like you could tell that something was sitting there eating it. Like it wasn't shot by kids with BB guns, and like all sorts of shit. But like that falls into like a flesh and blood thing sitting there in that
Mhm.
bush next to those tree snaps, and the big one was standing down, like, and we just walked up on it. You know what I mean? We were following like a
Mhm.
bunch of birds squawking at something, and like so like something was physically there. But then like I'm on this other side of things too. So like you're saying, like there's nothing wrong. We can all learn from each other. There's so many
Mhm.
different ways and things that can come into it's insane. It's crazy cool.
And and then when you do learn, I mean, dude, you know this as much as I do, and probably all your people in this chat right now. When you finally think you have an answer, you don't have an answer, and it leads to
Yeah.
16 other questions, which then
Yep.
lead to 16 other questions.
Yeah.
And it's
That's
like
what I
you're
was
so
like.
close. Yeah, I mean, you're so close to waiting. The only answer that we have is our own answer for ourselves. And as long as at the end of the day, people like Mike, people like myself and others that are putting in the time, money, effort, going into the woods to get our own answers to then share with the general public and share with all of you, and you guys have, you know, your own answers. So, you know, I think that's what it's about. So, and
Yeah.
you know, and that's what it's all about. So that's all I got.
All
So
right,
Mike,
bro. Well, I
we're
just want to
good.
say
And
one thing. We brought up your counterpart, your co-host Kenny.
mhm,
He's Kenny W. Irish, cryptopunkologist. He
mhm,
has a couple of books. One's a kid's book, Bigfoot Runaround. One is another one. I own it. It's a good book, easy read. Folklore Frankenstein's. It's from all around the states, different people's stories. Like, and you know, in the beginning of each one, there's like a little bit of Native American history from each area. Very easy read. I don't read, but I read it. Really cool. You know, it might have something from your hometown or your home state that might interest you. Definitely, he's a great author. I think it was really well done. And you know, he does a lot of different things too. And you guys are great together, and I love being a part of it. And I'm really excited for this. You know, but regardless, you know what I mean. We do things together anyway. So
yeah, I mean it's awesome, and we're gonna do our project soon when we hopefully next year when we come up and we'll do some Lake Champlain Loch Ness Monster stuff we talked about.
well, I can't wait. I can't
Yeah,
wait.
so I mean, I that's something I wanted. I definitely have always wanted to dig into a little bit, and
Yeah.
it's right in my backyard, like a couple hours away, but still like up here. But that'll be fun, you know what I mean? And then also I do some stuff down in the Pine Barrens, in New Jersey. So trying to do some Jersey Devil stuff because I love that subject matter. So yeah, there's
Yeah,
plenty to do.
the Pine Barrens over here have been one of the most interesting. We have some here too on Long Island,
Mhm.
and it's been one of the most interesting places. It's different because it's not like the suburban squatching I do on the regular. It's like more
Yeah.
secluded and more like foresty, and like there's no
Mhm.
like quick escape to the nearest road and all that shit. It's like you know, it's like you know. So I love it. I think it's
Yeah,
great.
it's
You know what I mean?
awesome. They're interesting.
Yeah.
They're such awesome areas. So, but yeah, we got some stuff going on in SA. But for everybody, before I get out of here, we have the NYBS radio show also. It's bi-weekly, so it's every other Thursday night at 7 o'clock. We bring people like Mike on, and other researchers from around the state and witnesses. My boy Kenny Irish, he's on there with me, and like I say, he has some awesome books, as you know, Mike talked about. And yeah, it's a good time. You know, it's just like this. It's a good time. We all chill, hang out, grab a drink, chill. And Mike is now our chat room moderator. So we're super stoked to have him do that. So it's just once again, it's just people teaming up and it's group researchers working together. And that's really what it's about is, you know, working together. And I'm very blessed to have been on here. And thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Oh no, thank you for coming on, bro. I appreciate it, man. And thank you for answering
Anytime.
some questions from everyone. And
Of
so
course.
I saw you were on Bigfoot Odyssey a couple times, and you guys didn't, you know, you guys go over so much. You guys didn't even have time to really converse. So I was trying to get everyone a couple of minutes with you too. So,
No,
but
I thank you for that, and I thank everybody that came to watch tonight. Like you say, like the main thing take out of this is, yes, I mean, other researchers from both sides that think differently can work together, still be cool, still be friends, not argue, and just have a good time. And at the end of the day, we're just having a good time doing what we're doing, and having all you as supporters is awesome. So, I mean, I can probably talk for Mike too, but thank you so much for the support, because that's what we do, is work together and support each other. So it's
yes,
awesome.
sir.
So and then the name of the channel is New York Bigfoot Society. So we do have a YouTube channel, and you can check it out there. There is one live stream because now they're going to there. Also, if you're on Facebook, for the Facebookers in the world, New York Bigfoot Society on Facebook. Once again, I post daily, all sorts of stuff. So you can check us out there. But as always, thank everybody, and we had a good time.
Yes, sir. Thank you, bro. I'll
All
catch
right.
up with you soon.
As I always say, keep it squatchy, and we'll see you out on the trail. Deuces,
All right,
everyone.
bro. Thanks, man.
Not a problem.
All right, guys. So, always a pleasure. It's like a brother to me. So, appreciate you guys hanging out. We went pretty long tonight, so I'm not gonna hang around much. But that's it for me, guys. And as always, thank you, and have a great night.